The Rock attacks Roman Reigns in Raw's premiere on Netflix. Triple H's full plans for Raw on Netflix debut. Omos' immediate wrestling future is not with the WWE. Braun Strowman is 15% paralyzed. The New Day takes shots at WWE fans with Christmas message. Being part of the Bloodline storyline is tough for Sami Zayn. Solo Sikoa can hold fans in the palm of his hand. Let's dive right in. Triple H's full plans for Raw on Netflix debut. The Raw on Netflix debut is coming up on January 6th. In anticipation, WWE has built up what can only be considered a WrestleMania-level match card to commemorate and kick off the 10-year, $5 billion deal. So what has WWE subtly told us leading into the big event? There have been some less than subtle things, such as the vignettes alluding to Pentagon Jr.'s inevitable debut, and some hilariously subtle things like Kevin Owens being photoshopped as bald on the road to WrestleMania 41 promotional poster. Even ex-WWE star Baron Corbin highlighted that fact on X. But apart from that, here are 7 subtle signs that have been hinted at leading up to the big Raw on Netflix debut special. Number 1. Bayley appears to be one of the names heading to Raw on Netflix. On April 28, 2023, Bayley was drafted to SmackDown along with the other 2 members of Damage Control, Sky and Dakota Kai. Since then, Damage Control has expanded and moved to Raw, while the role model has continued to carve her legacy on SmackDown by winning the Women's Royal Rumble and the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania 40. She has basically done it all and won it all, which was true until the introduction of the Women's United States and Intercontinental Championships. Besides that, the Queen of the Ring is the only accomplishment she has left to achieve. While Bayley hasn't been as heavily featured on SmackDown since losing the WWE Women's Championship to Nia Jax at SummerSlam, she is still a key part of the women's division. Hence, she was Jade Cargill's replacement at War Games. It's clear that there's very little left for Bayley to do on SmackDown, especially when you consider her year-long run as SmackDown Women's Champion from 2019 to 2020. She has been featured multiple times on the Raw on Netflix promos, which seems to be a big sign that she is done with SmackDown after 608 days on the brand. Number 2. The WWE Draft as a concept could be finished. The WWE Draft as a concept has existed since 2002, so it will basically turn 23 years old next year. While it hasn't been done every single year, it has been conducted enough times that it has become a marquee event on the WWE calendar. That said, the 2024 Draft was the perfect example of why WWE likely needs to move on from the draft altogether. While it seems exciting at first, that quickly dissipates when fans realize that a lot of the time, it's just the announcement that a superstar is staying on the same brand. Changes occur, and brand changes are certainly needed to keep rosters fresh, but it's clear that the WWE Draft has run its course. The sentiment seems to be echoed within the Triple H-led company itself. The fact that so many SmackDown stars like Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are being advertised for Raw on Netflix could be a sign that they are moving away from the concept. The draft is a lot more relevant in competitive sports where draft picks aren't scripted beforehand. With WWE entering a new era, it looks like the transfer window ahead of the Raw on Netflix debut is a way of ending the draft concept, a welcome sign. Number 3. The return of 2 key horsewomen. It seems to be a matter of when, and not if, Becky Lynch is returning. Charlotte Flair, her longtime friend and rival, is also expected to return to WWE soon after crossing a year away due to injury. There's no doubt that the women's division has felt the absence of the 2 horsewomen, and it's going to be sooner rather than later that we see them back. In the aforementioned promotional poster for the road to WrestleMania 41, Becky Lynch is seen. It seems quite clear that the man is heading to Raw on Netflix. This means that Charlotte Flair, who is one of the biggest women's stars in wrestling history, could be sent the other way. She was a SmackDown star anyway, but Becky Lynch being on the promotional poster seems to indicate that the Queen will be returning to the blue brand and not on Raw on Netflix. Number 4. The future of Big E. The future of Big E has been in question even more after the December 2nd episode of Raw. That was the date of the infamous New Day 10th anniversary segment, where Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods shockingly turned on E. Big E returned to Raw with great enthusiasm, and his intentions were to manage Kingston and Woods until his medical clearance. His New Day brothers completely turned on him, a move that has led to some serious repercussions as the entire locker room has iced them out. It reached such a low point that even Dominic Mysterio, the most hated man in WWE, stated his disapproval of their actions towards Big E Ray. Mysterio, who has been presented as a locker room leader on Raw, told Kingston and Woods that they would be allowed back in if they apologized to everybody. All signs seem to indicate that Big E could be medically cleared for a return soon, and that WWE is keeping it under wraps. presumably saving the big moment for an episode of Raw on Netflix. Number 5. The possible future of the Bloodline. The Bloodline civil war could pour over from one brand to the next. As part of the transfer window, we could see the feud between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa primarily happen on Raw. While Sami Zayn and Jey Uso are already Raw superstars, all signs seem to indicate that the rest of the group, including Bloodline 2.0, could be on Monday Night Raw going forward. It's a bit of an odd change because the Bloodline story has primarily been on SmackDown for the last 4 years. However, considering how it's the biggest storyline and one of the longest-running arcs in WWE history, it only makes sense that they would want to feature that on Raw. Number 6. John Cena's return could also be paired with another major comeback. Fans know that John Cena's retirement tour begins on January 6th on Raw and will happen throughout the year, presumably culminating at the very end of it. He cleared his schedule just to ensure that he had his big farewell tour. Apart from just John Cena, another old rival of his and fellow Hollywood star could make a comeback on Raw, and no, we're not talking about Batista. The Rock being shown on the Raw on Netflix trailer seems to be as good a sign as any that he could be a lock for the debut episode on January 6th. With the reports currently indicating that Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa will headline the show, it's the perfect way to lead to The Rock's return. It needs to be done well this time around. When he returned at the end of Bad Blood this past October, the initial pop died down quickly when fans realized that there was nothing that actually came of it. WWE has hardly mentioned it since, but with the road to WrestleMania 41 set to begin, it makes a lot more sense for him to appear, especially since WWE is trying to put out a WrestleMania caliber card for the first Netflix show. It should be noted that WWE has officially advertised the Seth Rollins CM Punk match as a main event showdown, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will headline the show. In the past, WWE has labeled multiple matches as main events, even without a match closing the show. One example is Hell in a Cell 2016, where even Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Rusev were advertised as main events, with the actual headliner being Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair. Number 7. What to possibly expect from the endings of the marquee matches of Raw on Netflix. So far, the 3 major matches for the Raw on Netflix debut include CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa in a tribal combat match for the Ulafala, and Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. The only bout between them that's likely to have a decisive finish is the Women's World title match. Given how CM Punk versus Seth Rollins is still a rumored direction for WrestleMania, it wouldn't be surprising to see an inconclusive finish to the contest or a very controversial one at the least. On the other hand, if Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa is going to extend until WrestleMania, then it's also going to have an inconclusive finish that eventually sets up a rematch with even higher stakes. So although it is undoubtedly a WrestleMania tier card that WWE is putting out for an episode of Raw, the big match announcements are a subtle indication that not everything will have a clean or satisfying finish. Let us know what you're looking forward to on the Raw special episode. Omos's immediate wrestling future is not with the WWE. WWE superstar Omos's long-awaited return date may have been accidentally revealed. However, the news will be bittersweet for fans, as his next possible appearance will not be in WWE. The Nigerian giant hasn't been seen on TV programming since the April 5th episode of SmackDown this year. He participated in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in a losing effort that night and missed WrestleMania 40. His continued absence has fans wondering about his status with the Stamford-based promotion. According to Fightful Select, Omos is still under WWE contract, but there's no word on why he hasn't been utilized on television for months. Interestingly, Pro Wrestling Noah, who is in a working relationship with WWE, appears to have spoiled Omos's debut. Noah is set to hold the New Year's show at Nippon Budokan, Tokyo, Japan on January 1st, 2025. One of the matches advertised for the event is a GHC Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match featuring Takashi Sugiura and Naomichi Marufuji against Jack Morris and a mystery wrestler billed as the biggest X in history. The mystery partner could be Omos, as Noah accidentally listed his profile on its website. Although they removed it shortly after, it became a foregone conclusion that the 7'3" superstar could make his Noah debut on January 1st, 2025. Elsewhere on the show, current United States champion Shinsuke Nakamura will face Ulka Sasaki in a singles match. Will Omos be a part of the event? Only time will tell. Recent reports have suggested that the creative plans to use Omos as a special attraction. With the road to WrestleMania 41 set to begin in the coming weeks, fans could see the Nigerian giant return for a blockbuster feud, heading into the showcase of the Immortals. The Undertaker recently pitched the idea of Omos becoming the bodyguard of Dominic Mysterio. A potential alliance between the two could be interesting, similar to the one Omos had with AJ Styles a few years ago. Will the Colossus rise again in 2025? Only time will tell. Braun Strowman is 15% paralyzed. Braun Strowman has been grinding in WWE for years and has sacrificed his body night in and night out to entertain wrestling fans. It's no secret that sometimes these wrestlers work through injuries. The monster of all monsters is among those wrestlers who have continued to follow their passion despite facing some complications during their journey. Last year, the 41-year-old WWE superstar revealed that he has been dealing with partial paralysis in his left leg, but the former Universal Champion didn't let his condition deter his career. Earlier today, Braun Strowman took to his Instagram handle to share a photo of himself working out during Christmas. The monster among men has been training hard to strengthen his quads and has been happy with his progress. Christmas quad's been working hard on these puppies. Very happy considering my left leg is 15% paralyzed. Braun Strowman spent the last 2 months on the sidelines, nursing a groin injury he suffered during his last Monster Standing match against Bronson Reed on the September 30th, 2024 episode of Raw. He made his return to WWE TV after nearly 2 months on the December 13th episode of SmackDown, where he squashed Carmelo Hayes in 90 seconds. It was later revealed that the former Universal Champion had officially joined the SmackDown roster via the transfer window. His feud with Carmelo Hayes seems far from over as the two men are set to continue their feud in the coming weeks. Strowman and Hayes faced each other again on SmackDown last week, which the former NXT champion won via countout. A rubber match between the two men appears to be on the cards as the road to WrestleMania 41 begins in January 2025. The New Day takes shots at WWE fans with Christmas message. The New Day's Xavier Woods recently shared a social media post mocking the WWE Universe. Fans have been booing him and Kofi Kingston left, right, and center after the duo turned heel. Big E returned to television on the December 2nd edition of Monday Night Raw. The former WWE champion offered to help Kingston and Woods sort out their differences and become their manager until he gets medically cleared to enter the squared circle. However, the two declined the offer, mocked Big E's injury, and asked him to leave. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have since tried to justify their actions in front of the fans and fellow WWE superstars. Earlier today, the latter took to his X account to do the same. The New Day member insinuated that they were right and wouldn't allow others' opinions to affect them. Don't let others dim your light because it shines too bright for their liking. Merry Christmas, he wrote. Wrestling journalist Bill Apter recently revealed that he was pleasantly surprised by what happened during the New Day's 10-year celebration. During his appearance on a recent edition of Sportskeeda's The Wrestling Time Machine, Apter stated that considering the tension between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods leading to the segment, he expected the two to end their allegiance. The 79-year-old added that he never expected them to sort out their differences and turn their backs on Big E instead. When they showed Kofi, Kingston, and Xavier Woods walking into the building alone, they didn't have a celebratory feel about them. They were just like, it was another night. When they came to the ring, it was all dressed up and beautiful, and they were very blasé about the thing. I thought the two would get into a confrontation with each other. Big E comes down, and they hit a turnaround angle I never thought would happen where Kofi and Xavier Woods bonded when we thought they would kill each other, and they turned their backs on Big E. What a great turn of events, he said. It will be interesting to see if Big E returns to the squared circle to confront Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Being part of the Bloodline storyline is tough for Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn has been with WWE since 2013, but some things still shock him about the business. The Canadian recently shared the change that surprised him the most in the Stamford-based company following TKO's takeover. The four-time Intercontinental Champion began his career in WWE at NXT, spending 2 years there before getting called up to the main roster. He mainly worked in the mid-card for the remainder of the 2010s, before getting pushed as part of the Bloodline storyline. Zayn barely thrived under Vince McMahon, but has flourished in the Triple H era. He was a guest on the latest edition of the Battleground podcast, in which the underdog from the underground revealed the recent change within the company that shocked him ahead of Raw's move to Netflix in January 2025. Sami stated that the company is now more media-focused than it is live event-focused. It is a particularly crazy time with us moving to Netflix and all these stuff and all these change in the landscape of even how we operate as a business, where it's like more media-focused than it is live event-focused. That's brand new, so there's just so many changes going on. This 3 weeks in Europe on the road to WrestleMania, this is all stuff that was unfathomable a few years ago. It's crazy. It's a crazy time, Zayn said. The life of a WWE superstar is never easy. It has its perks and benefits, but it also has its drawbacks. Sami Zayn explained on the Battleground podcast that one of the toughest parts of being part of the Bloodline story was the hectic schedule. The schedule at that time was really demanding, and it was really a challenging time for me personally. Just because I had a child at home and my wife was dealing with it all alone, it was really tough. Sami said. Sami Zayn and his wife Khadija Sabay have a child named Rami Sabay Jr. With the new changes to WWE's schedule and number of shows, the stars have more free time to be with their loved ones. Solo Sikoa can hold fans in the palm of his hand. Wrestling analyst Sam Roberts recently praised a prominent member of the new Bloodline ahead of the WWE Raw Netflix premiere. Sam believes that despite being heavily booed by fans, Solo Sikoa possesses an undeniable charisma that allows him to captivate the audience. On January 6th, 2025, the Street Champion is set to face Roman Reigns in a tribal combat match. This contest will determine who is the true and rightful tribal chief between Sikoa and Reigns. Speaking on his Not Some Wrestling podcast, Sam Roberts commended Solo Sikoa's evolution, describing the latter's current persona as a captivating blend of scary and swaggy. Solo Sikoa is shifting back into swaggy Solo, but he's still kind of scary Solo as well. He's becoming scary swaggy Solo, and it's really impressive, the command that he has developed of sick the audience. This is a guy a lot of people are going, man, he's improved a lot since April, he said. The wrestling analyst highlighted the 31-year-old WWE star's improved command over the audience. Roberts also emphasized the self-proclaimed tribal chief's rapid growth from a relatively inexperienced performer to someone who can captivate the crowd with ease. Now, he's playing on a different level, and that's true, but I think you also have to take into account that he's a young guy and just a few years ago, he had no experience, and now he's holding the audience in the palm of his hand like a very few performers have the ability to do so, he added. On the December 20th, 2024 edition of SmackDown, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga faced LA Knight, Andrade, and Apollo Crews. The new Bloodline members emerged victorious in the six-man tag team match. Following the show, WWE shared a video on Instagram of the group exiting the ring and heading backstage. In the video, Solo stated that, unlike Roman Reigns, he appears on SmackDown every week and that he will leave Raw on January 6th with the Ula Fala. Every single week the tribal chief shows up. January 6th, I'm leaving with this, he said. It remains to be seen if the Street Champion can defeat the former WWE Universal Champion to prove that he is the true tribal chief in the Bloodline saga. The Rock attacks Roman Reigns in Raw's premiere on Netflix. Roman Reigns has main evented WWE WrestleMania for several years in a row. Wrestling veteran Francine recently predicted he would do the same again against a major legend next year. The Stamford-based company has tried to set up a match between the OTC and The Rock for a few years. Although the final boss returned earlier this year to fight his cousin, WWE's plans changed after fan backlash over Cody Rhodes' position. While Reigns is currently involved in a bloodline civil war against Solo Sikoa and his new bloodline, many suggested The Rock might get involved to plant the seeds for a potential square-off against the former undisputed WWE champion. Speaking on her Eyes Up Here podcast, Francine predicted that The Rock will insert himself in the main event of WrestleMania 41. She disclosed that she believes the Triple Crown champion will go head-to-head against Reigns. The Rock is going to get himself into it. You know he is. Is it going to be Cody, or is it going to be Roman Reigns? It's going to be one of them. I think it's going to be The Rock and Roman. Not a three-way? Number, I think it's a one-on-one. Yeah, I'm feeling it. That's what I'm feeling, she said. Roman Reigns is set to go head-to-head against his cousin, Solo Sikoa, in tribal combat on Monday Night Raw's premiere on Netflix on January 6th. Meanwhile, The Rock has not been seen since Bad Blood, when he made a cryptic cutthroat gesture to the OTC, Jimmy Uso, and Cody Rhodes. Speaking on his Not Some Wrestling podcast, WWE analyst Sam Roberts wondered if the final boss would return on Raw's debut on Netflix to cost Reigns the tribal combat. What if The Rock interferes in that match? What if that's where The Rock comes out on Netflix? We haven't seen The Rock. What if that's where The Rock comes out and we see which bloodline The Rock is in agreement with, if any, by the way, and The Rock costs Roman Reigns that Ula Fala? Or maybe Roman wins the Ula Fala and The Rock and Roman Reigns have a showdown, he said. It would be interesting to see if The Rock will indeed interfere in the highly anticipated clash and whether he will be Reigns' opponent at WrestleMania 41.